Just as it was getting dark, someone was walking along a mountain path. Then he saw something blocking the path that looked like a snake. He was too surprised and fearful to continue. But then someone came from the opposite direction. "Oh, how could you step across a snake on the road?" he asked. "Ah, that is not a snake but a straw rope," answered the other. Therefore the man went closer to see and realized it was really a straw rope. Let's think about it. Was there really a snake? No, but the moment he misunderstood it as a snake, there was a snake in his mind. That is ego, individual consciousness. It exists only in misidentification. The snake originally did not exist, but came about by misunderstanding and made him fearful. Likewise, the ego that does not truly exist makes humans suffer. What is the only way to be awakened from the illusion that it is a snake? There is nothing to do but go and see. Of course, he can believe what the other person said, but it is not a 100% solution. The best and only way is to go and see yourself. It is as if the enlightened master says, "That is not a snake but a straw rope. And although I believe him, I go see it myself." That is the most correct practice for seekers. The method of going and seeing like this is vipassana meditation. The most important thing here is that vipassana is not for cultivating the body-mind but just observing. Therefore, such general words like cultivating or practicing are not adequate. The most correct meaning of vipassana is awareness. Awareness, however, is possible only when the consciousness is awake. So the enlightened ones say, always be awake. Why should we always be awake? To see things as they are. However, a seeker who did not sleep and meditated for an overly long time due to the teacher saying, "Always be awake," could even die from that. That would be foolish. Let us think about the situation of suffering. Is there suffering while being awake? How about in deep sleep? There is suffering when we are already awake. Defilements and illusions also arise when waking. Even if someone has a big problem, they will be peaceful during sleep. Problems arise when waking. Therefore, to be always awake means not to mistakenly identify oneself with body-mind, but to be always in true nature, true I. Vipassana is not just sitting and walking meditation. Consciousness is to see the body-mind, all events and manifestations arising outside as they are, in the perspective of true nature. To see from true nature's perspective means to see in a pure state. To see things as they are without the thought or feeling of, "I did this." And to be aware of consciousness in true nature. When one loses awareness for a split second, there arises again an illusion. Because the consciousness identifies with the body-mind. If one maintains pure consciousness and sees the body-mind as it is, there will come a time one strongly feels that this body-mind is not me. Then the identification of self with the body-mind will collapse in a moment, and the ego, the illusion of I, essentially not existing, only existing in a deluded mind, will be broken as if a rope you were holding snapped. You have to maintain awareness until enlightened. What is the key point of vipassana? It is to see birth-death, grasping the appearing-disappearing of all things. It is to see that all lives, material things, and manifestations arising in this phenomenal universe must die, as if noticing the rising and falling of the breath. If you recognize this birth, death correctly, you can be enlightened. What is the reason that one clings to I? It is because one does not deeply realize the impermanence of this body-mind, that it is born and then must die. Understanding it only as knowledge or a word, you know in their heads that the whole is one. I is true nature, and this body is just an illusion that will come and go. Nonetheless, you may still struggle to escape mistakenly identifying yourself as an individual entity. If you are trapped in the limits of ego, even a long sitting meditation without sleep for 40 to 50 years will be no use. In Myanmar, there are many fortunate people who have been practicing Vipassana for over 10 years. Monks of 70 or 80 years old are doing walking meditation with a cane or staff, even though they cannot walk very well. It is like the Korean monks who cling to their huatu, kong'an, until their last breath. It looks horrible. What is the problem? No matter how long one practices within the limits of ego, it is no use. Then how can we know the truth? We should be able to see the universe as a whole. Then you will know that all things in the phenomenal universe are reasonably functioning in good order. Then what do we realize? It doesn't matter if we practice Vipassana or Huatu, Zen, for decades. The important thing is what we have to realize. When you know the right way to the summit of the mountain, you can reach it. You cannot get there without knowing the right way. No matter how much you wander here and there, we need to take the right path. Then what should we realize? No self. There is no more simple way than no self, a condensed version of Buddha's teaching. However, after enlightenment, I was very surprised that people interpreted such a simple term as being very complicated. What is no self? It means that there is no I. What is I? It means I as an individual existence. The only thing that should be called I is the absolute true nature. That is true, I. There is no dualistic discrimination, you and me, in it. There is no I as an independent entity existing separately. This one sentence is the conclusion of all enlightenment. I finished my path of seeking by realizing this one sentence. Anybody can do it if realizing this one point. If you read the books written by great Buddhist monks, no self is interpreted as removing self by cultivating. It is very disappointing. No self does not mean removing oneself by cultivating, but by originally being not a self. How can you remove I, self, if it originally does not exist? Couldn't you remove it only if it exists? It is ridiculous. If there is I, ego, all those who have practiced sitting meditation for a long time could have removed it. Such people devoting themselves to practicing meditation could do anything. However, it is impossible. They are trying to remove what does not exist. After enlightenment, I do not know how much I laughed. I had wandered around to remove myself, not even existing for 25 years. Was there anything to do other than laugh when I realized no self? It is impossible for me to describe all my feelings at that moment. Some may ask, why is that? Then everything, including Vipassana, is no use, because there is originally nothing. This, however, is not the case. Your heart must be completely relieved. The moment you are enlightened, you might feel strongly refreshed in your heart. It seems that a rope holding you has snapped and disappeared. The reason that I explain this in detail is so that you can practice correctly, at least in knowledge. When you understand the right concepts and remain awake through vipassana, someday your heart shall meet no self. That is the day when you will become enlightened. The less evolved devotee will use this knowledge upon hearing it and say they are enlightened. But such folk will not even be able to approach enlightenment. Enlightenment is possible only when exploring with 100% purity, 100% eagerness, and 100% patience. These three elements are a necessity for the true seeker.